Hello everyone, this is Lina Almanova, your lawyer in Cyprus, and today I want to talk to you about Cyprus naturalization citizenship procedure. Let's discuss today what options are available, what paths you can go through, and what important points you need to consider. Planning for a Cyprus passport takes a long advanced planning and preparation, involving such issues such as your immigration statuses from the beginning, amendments in those statuses, any alterations, any departures from the island, etc. So it's highly recommended, if your end goal is Cypriot citizenship, to consult your lawyer in advance and make a detailed path and plan towards your passport. So, the most common path is 7 years of legal residence in Cyprus within the last 11 years. You can travel back and forth. Make sure during the last year you're absent for no more than 90 days before your application. This is the most simple procedure, but it takes a long time, because with this procedure you go through the normal naturalization queues, and usually the review of your application takes from 3 to 5-6 years, which is a lot. So it's highly recommended to consider what status you will be before even applying for Cyprus passport. So in case if you get a rejection, God forbid, or something goes wrong, you are secured while you're in here. The second recent option, which is highly popular among international specialists in Cyprus, is the fast track for high-skilled specialists in Cyprus. So if you're working for a foreign interest company in Cyprus and you're staying here for 4 to 5 years, you have the right to apply for the fast-track procedure. We've got two options here. You can go either with 4 years, demonstrating a very high level of Greek language, or you can go with the 5 years, demonstrating a basic understanding of Greek language. In both cases, you'll need to submit your exams for a different level depending on your residence in Cyprus, and you also need to pass your history test in Cyprus. The same applies to the usual procedure. Greek language is now mandatory. The only application which allows you to go without the Greek language passport is in case if you're a spouse of a Cypriot citizen. So in case if your wife or husband is the lucky one to learn the language, get their passport, you can go afterwards, 3 years after his recipient of passport, without the Greek language. Let's briefly discuss how you go with the work permit, what important factors you need to consider. So, first of all, to apply with the BCS high-skilled application and get your application reviewed within 1 year or usually 1.5, it's the average time it takes to review such applications, you need to be on your work permit for at least 2 last years of the application. So you can combine your immigration statuses, starting for a usual residence permit or PR, and then jumping onto employment visa to combine and go through the fast track procedure. So mix and match is allowed. Just make sure that you have a clear, proper plan in advance and all documents prepared for that. Lots of people apply for permanent residence status in the beginning through either the investment in the property or investment in the local companies, etc. One of our previous videos we spoke about that in more detail, but this case doesn't allow you to jump onto the fast track. You go with the normal route of 7 years, but meanwhile, your application is being processed, you still have your permanent residence in Cyprus, which allows you to live here without any exceptions. The actual physical presence is mandatory, is very important for Cypriot citizenship, because in order for the Cyprus authorities to allow and grant you citizenship by naturalization, they need to understand that you have direct ties to the island, and it doesn't mean visiting your holiday home once or twice a year. So you need to live here, you need to show that if you have a family, your kids go to school here, you're involved in the community, you have some line of business, you have ties to the island. That's highly important. There is no clear explanation of what that means. For every family it's going to be different, but we do highly recommend being involved in all the activities, all the events that are organized by your municipality, by the government, and generally watching the news also does help, because lots of things happen in the local market, and if you don't know about local gossip, it may be strange during the interview. Another important and famous option to apply for a Cyprus passport is if you're lucky enough to become a family member of a Cypriot citizen. So you can marry a Cypriot In that case, you're going to go through a different queue. It takes 3 years to you to be in your marriage in order to apply for your passport. The benefit here is that you don't need to demonstrate Greek language because you're a family member of a Cypriot citizen, but you need to show that you are in a real marriage, your family ties are strong, and therefore you will be granted your passport. It's a separate procedure, it goes a lot faster, but not everyone has a happy Cypriot husband or wife. Let's briefly discuss what documents you need to prepare for your Cypriot passport application. A valid passport, any valid passport. If you have 2 or 3 other citizenships, we want to see all of them. It's highly important. You cannot hide your citizenship from the Cyprus authorities because to grant you citizenship, you go through the Interpol, Europol checks, and they do see all information about you. So we do not want to cover anything from the authorities. Immigration documents confirming your residence status from the beginning, since the first application to the migration until your application was Cypriot passport. So we do recommend you having either an online Google Drive or any other drive or a physical file with all your documents, copies there saved. I would illustrate to you what the proper application for passport looks like, but usually this is the amount of papers we get for one applicant. Proof of address and addresses. Yes, during your all residence in Cyprus, keep your tenancy agreements, keep your Airbnbs. If you stayed with your aunt, get a document that you stayed with your aunt during a brief trip. We want to disclose all the information, where you lived, how much you paid for your property. Taxation records. Even if you have been on visitor documentation, you haven't been working in the beginning in Cyprus, we want to show your tax declaration from overseas, because to sustain yourself in Cyprus, even with a visitor permit, you need to show your income from overseas. If you switch to BCS or work visa at a later stage, obviously we're going to show local income, but make sure to cover for all the years while you're in Cyprus confirmation you had enough funds to support yourself and your family, otherwise some questions may arise. Criminal record certificate. We'll need a criminal record certificate from Cyprus, obviously, because you've been living here. It's highly recommended not to break any law, because any violation of law can negatively affect your application. Obviously, if there is something minor, it doesn't mean that you'll never get your passport. It's just gonna take more trouble for us as your lawyers to sort out and explain to the authorities why you misbehaved once and you're not going to misbehave again. Bank documents. Bank statements showing your incomes from Cyprus or from overseas, technically showing your total wealth, will be highly beneficial to the authorities to check and review your documentation, because they will understand that you had all the means needed to sustain yourself and your family in Cyprus. Your entry and exit history. It's mandatory when applying for your Cypriot citizenship to show every page of your passport with your travel stamps. In case if you're a European, by any chance, you won't have stamps, but will need all your tickets and all your statement of days. So if you prepare for Cyprus passport in advance, highly recommended, get that Excel spreadsheet, please, to write down your ins and outs of Cyprus, so it's going to be easier for us to apply. Marriage certificates, in case if you apply with your spouse, even if you're not going to apply with your spouse, it's highly recommended to show your family situation. Do you have a wife or husband and kids in Cyprus? That kids go to school? What exactly does your wife or husband do as well? Because even if one applicant applies, it's really good to show your family background, because that's beneficial for your application, and you're going to be asked about that during your interview as well. Language and history knowledge certificate, depending on your category, except the Cypriot spouse. All other categories require your knowledge of Greek language of an adequate level and history knowledge of Cyprus as well. Those exams are not challenging. There are plenty of tutors who provide lessons at this stage, and I would say within 2 to 3 years while preparing, you can easily pass the exams. Good luck with that. Any other documentation which may prove you beneficial to Cyprus, academic background, any events you participated, any events you organized, charities, etc. Keep a background and story of what exactly you do, what are your hobbies, how are you beneficial to Cyprus in general, in case if you get the passport. What do local authorities look into when reviewing your application? Really simple. They want to see if you're a good person and you're worth be granted Cypriot citizenship, because Cyprus is a small, lovely island with only so many people, and they take extra caution when reviewing the applications, because considering the amount of locals in Cyprus and the amount of foreigners who relocated, they obviously want to grant those precious passports to people who are worth it. Important points to consider and mistakes that may have been done previously. Any gaps in your visa applications, make sure to renew your immigration statuses on time without any violations. That's highly important. Any long absences, Make sure to not be missing for more than 90 days per year, first of all, because it's going to help you to apply sooner. Secondly, it's going to stop any unnecessary questions of why you weren't in Cyprus for such a particularly long time. Keep track of your income history. Even if you're on a work visa in Cyprus, your tax declarations are important and must be provided. And your genuine ties to Cyprus. Being a part of foreign expat community is good, but if you want to get Cypriot citizenship, you need to become part of the Cypriot community as well. So communicating not just with your banker and your lawyer, but with your neighbor and fellow citizens is a good thing to do. Everyone's route to Cyprus passport is different, let's be honest. It can be challenging. If you go onto social media or online, you can see lots of negative reviews, rejections for the applications. People are being unhappy about the long queues. Yes, that happens. Cyprus is a small island, Mediterranean islands, where not everything is rushed. So it's good to be patient, to sort out your immigration statuses and prepare in advance, because let's be honest, for many of our clients, the Cypriot passport is not needed for themselves, but for their children, for their future as well, especially if you're becoming part of this community. Therefore, it's highly recommended to consult your lawyer in advance, to make a clear plan, know what documentation you need, how to jump from one status to another, and how to sort out everything to make sure that you're gonna get that desired document and become a Cypriot citizen. If you have any questions whatsoever, our office will be happy to help, because we have gone through all of these procedures not only for ourselves as a happy holder of Cypriot passport, but as a lawyer who helped plenty of people get to their dream citizenship.